Welcome, everyone, to Chirping Zebras, episode 79. Mark Riley, virtually alongside Gino Benda Jr., and our producer, Josh Dolan, and coming to you from the interwebs. And we want to, before we get into anything, we want to thank our sponsor, the Referees Crease, your one stop shop for all your refereeing needs. We ran a good clinic the other day, Gino.
Yes, we did.
It
Very good.
went well. I also want to remind you to like and subscribe on YouTube. Smash the like and subscribe button on YouTube, as well as follow us on all the social medias, the Instagram, the Facebook, and of course,
The TikTok.
thank you, Gino, the TikTok. And also want to thank AOA Studios. We're not in the studio right now for this one, but they do all our editing and whatnot. And they're a great place to tape anything you want to tape up in Beverly, AOA Studios. Last week we were there last week, and we had Mark Mowers on. And
Yep.
man, what a great guy.
Yeah, awesome guy. Great conversation. All about youth sports, his career, and his perspective on the game, and it was awesome.
Yeah, he had a lot of great insight, not only into his experience in pro hockey, but also in what's going on with all the youth sports and stuff like that. And we found out he's a baker, which
Yeah.
is pretty cool, right? Known for his apple crisp. So
Yeah.
I'm going to be looking for that in the next Bruins alumni game when I see him.
Perfect.
You better bring some of that. So, but without further ado, we have a great guest this week as well. Longtime lacrosse official. He's worked Division I college all the way down to youth, and we had some fun times when I was refereeing lacrosse back in the day. Want to welcome Fran Doyle to the Chirping Zebras. Welcome, Fran.
Welcome.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to be on board with you guys.
Yeah, we love having you on, and especially where you bring a different sport to the table, a sport that I've refereed in the past, and
Yep.
and of course, Gene Senior, he got me into lacrosse. How did you? I found lacrosse officiating just through Jimmy Doyle and Gino Benda. Right? What was your path to becoming a lacrosse official?
Oh God, it's such a long time ago for me. But going back, there was no lacrosse per se, except for the private schools. And so, anyways, I refereed. I coached high school and college soccer for a few years, for 5 years before I got into reffing, and so I refereed and had played college soccer. So I started reffing high school and college soccer. I did college soccer for 20 years. And as I'm coming up in my reffing career, I came across a guy that was 4 years older than me in high school, and his name was Jimmy Ty, and he was a lacrosse official at Boston State.
Okay.
And so, anyways, he said, Franny, you do soccer, you can do lacrosse. It's not a big deal, just watch it. You'll figure it out. So anyways, I got to my first game at Roxbury Latin. I had no idea what I was doing. I had never seen it. There was no real internet in 1980. What year was 84? And I was like, what the hell am I doing? Got yelled at a lot. And so anyways, that's how I started, just reffing lower level games. And basically back in those days, I live on the South Shore. So my games were always, Milton Academy, Roxbury Latin, Thayer, and then you'd wind up for the public schools. I wound up having to travel. So I wound up going to Newton North, South, Brookline. I'd go to Framingham North back in the old days, Framingham North and South. And, you went all over, and just, there weren't that many lacrosse officials at the time. And so I was kind of right place, right time. They were looking for guys, good guys, and lacrosse officials are a great group of guys. I really enjoy them a lot, and I think when I always talk to hockey guys, it's the same thing. That camaraderie you have as officials, it's not the same in soccer. Soccer is the sport of international special. and, and to be honest with you, the rules for officiating soccer are probably the easiest of any sport, to my estimation. but it's how you interpret, how you handle the kids, the coaches, the parents, the fans. Um, but you win a game or lose a game 1-0. It's just everyone feels bad. Like it should be like 5-0 at least, or 5-3 or 5-2. We got some, you got some, the better team won. Uh, I've officiated high school and college games where the better team lost 1-0. Like the team out dominated them, and someone puts in a lucky shot. The goalie's asleep because he hadn't stopped anything the whole game. And I was like, oh, I got to save a shot here. Wait a second. Um,
That's
so,
similar to hockey, though, too, right? I mean, that
well,
happens in hockey.
it can be, yeah. But lacrosse is so great because, to my way of thinking, 99.9% of the time, the better team wins and should win. And when they win or lose, both teams, they're looking at the scores. It's 12-10, 15-8, 6-3. It's the better team won. The handshake at the end is really heartfelt and sincere. You know, Soccer, it's like, we're getting the hell out of here when the game's over.
Right.
They come chasing you. Uh, and, so lacrosse became a passion for me. Soccer, I just kind of did. I like the exercise. I like the competition. I, I got to the point coaching college soccer at Boston State for 3 years, and I just said, I'm like the kids. I hate
Mm.
practice. I just like game day.
Mm.
And so I don't want to practice. So I just said, let's go game day. So, my work as a teacher and then a school administrator enabled me to have afternoons and certain time off if I needed it. Sometimes my job career made me stay more 9 to 5 versus 7 to 3. So, I mean, it was some days, some years, it was easier to get out than others. And so it was just kind of a natural segue into officiating. And it's just, you challenge yourself as an official, as you know, Gina, and
Mm.
Mark, you too. Mark, I thought you were a good official. I don't know why you left. I mean, I was like trying to get you back all the
I
time.
was fantastic.
Yes.
Once I figured out all the rules, because well, it's funny because lacrosse and hockey officiating very similar in that violence is violence, right? Like a
Yes.
cross check is a cross check, no matter where you throw
Right.
it. A two-handed whack or a chop is the same. It was more those, the offside rules and, chasing the ball out of bounds and shit like that, that I didn't. It took me a while to figure all that out.
It takes a while. Yeah. But you
I
were getting the hang of it.
Oh, I was
I love
pretty good by the time I was done.
I love how you started it. Everybody that ever I talked to that just first hey, they started refereeing lacrosse. It's like, oh, I had no idea what I was doing. I just went out there, didn't know the rules, but I went out and did it. Every single person that's ever said they referee the class, that's how it started. And it's unbelievable how it's like officiating really is like learn on the job, right? Like we put on all these clinics, you do all this kind of stuff, but like officiating really is error after error after error. And it's how you come back from that. Like, oh, I'm not going to do
Yes.
that again, right? I'm not going
Right.
to do that again.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
that's how you grow, and you're coachable. You get information as you go, and and you just grow from there. And I think, like you said, like to make that transition from soccer over to lacrosse was probably a little easy because you understand rules, you understand concepts, you understand fairness and all that other kind of stuff, right? And the rules in lacrosse are kind of they're vague anyway, in my opinion, right?
Gino, you didn't stay with it long enough.
Well,
I
ABC
played and
high
coached.
education. Come on.
Yeah, no, I played and coached. I coached Cohasset High. We got a state championship. Yeah, with
Yeah,
Stu
don't
Curran.
get carried away at Cohasset High School there.
Yes.
How many kids are there? 29 kids?
Yeah, if that, right? And
They
we
all
had
played lacrosse. Oh,
and
you
they were
played
really good.
baseball.
Yeah.
and
Yeah, that's right. You were there.
You
Yeah.
coached with a good friend of yours, friend of mine, Stu Curran.
Stu Curran, God rest his
God
soul.
rest his
Yeah,
soul.
God rest
Yeah.
his soul. He was a great man. He coached
Great,
me at
great
BC
guy.
High. And then when I graduated college, he ran into my father, said, "Hey, what's Junior doing?" He's like, "He's sitting on his ass." So yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, so I coached the JV and varsity with them, and I one quick story about Stu that I always loved, and we were in the playoffs. We ended up winning it this year. We had a great team, and we were taking a ton of penalties in the first quarter, and he called the timeout. And, during the season, like we're, public school, we're not getting the best referees during the regular season where we can get away with a lot of stuff. But come playoff time, we had guys like yourself. You might
Right.
even done this game actually.
I did your games, Gino.
Yeah, I know. You
Yeah,
might have
I
done this
remember
game.
you.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
remember you coming in. Yeah, you were
yeah.
awesome. And he pulled us in and he made sure he heard the referees heard this was like, hey, we're getting penalties because we earn them. He goes, these guys are calling the game right because we were chirping. Our players were chirping you guys, and he wanted to nip that right in the bud. It was a playoff game, and we won by like a goal or two. And then it was, I remember him just, preaching to our guys that these guys are calling it right and gave you guys like a wink, and off we went because now our guys realize that, hey, these guys are going to call it. This is the standard, and let's play lacrosse and stop like overhitting and overextending. Like we had some big D that were just killing kids, and they were letting that go all season. And you guys weren't letting that fly. And I'll never forget that. That was one of the coolest coaching moments I've ever seen in lacrosse.
Right, right. Yeah, it is. Lacrosse is unique in the sense that our college season starts in January, and people
Mm.
always say to me, "Outside." Yeah,
Yeah.
outside.
Yeah.
We start in January. There's not a lot of games. It's primarily Division One,
Mm.
and Division Two and Three start like the third week of February. And it's just primarily a week or two of just scrimmages for Division Two and Three until, the season starts like, really like second, third week in March. It really kicks in. What happens for the public schools and the private schools is that the college officials are all reffing college games, during the week, Saturday. So what happens is they don't get to those public school games until, late April or
Yep.
May. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, they didn't call that all year long. Why are you calling that? Well,
Right.
that's the rule, but no one knew how to tell you that was the rule for the last
Right.
a month and a half. So
Mm.
that's problematic. And uh, well, you guys are hockey guys, so I'm good friends with Bob McGuire. And
Okay.
you guys all know Bob, big track guy, but big hockey guy. His son played at Northeastern, and they were Arlington. They played at Nobles with, was it, who were those games? Just a
Yep.
lot of big hockey guys. And God, what are they? Huxley and
Oh yeah, Ben. Yep.
Finn and
Oh yeah, I remember
McGuire.
those.
They were
Yep.
the starting line up there, and they did damage.
Hmm.
Uh, but Bob was, he's the signer for the ISL. And so he, like, he'll ask me, he said, Franny, you have to ref the ISL games because I'm
Mm.
assigning and then
Mm.
watching games. He said he'll always say to me, he said, okay, on Wednesday or a Tuesday or a Saturday, if I get it early enough or late enough, can you come ref an ISL game? And
Mm.
ISL has 3 officials versus the public schools, 2 officials.
Mm.
And so he said, I'll send you with 2 monkeys and you guys figure the shit out.
Yeah. Right.
So, it's like, just keep everyone on the reservation and not make it like go crazy and stuff. So, I mean, that's unfortunately what happens. And I'm sure that's the same way with hockey as well.
100% the same way in hockey. Like
Yeah.
you see it all the time. Like especially in the juniors, right? In like the high school stuff. You get these kids that are coming up and learning, and then you get a kid that's been working pro hockey or junior hockey, and and then he comes down just to keep his reps in and keep his mind sharp, and you know, they're calling it right, and it's completely different from what these young kids are doing, and it's frustrating to the coaches, but they
Right.
got to know that too.
Right. Right. And that's just it. When you come to watch any sport at the college level, the kids know what to play, how to play, what to do, how to do it.
Right.
And it's more the technical stuff that you see get called. On occasion, there's a few cross checks or illegal body checks, but for the most part, the kids know what to do, so they do it. It's when you get down to a low-level game, it's like you can call everything.
Right.
What should we call to get through this game?
One of my
So true.
biggest things I really enjoy as an administrator and teaching and being like a supervisor to these kids is when I have like a coach text me and said, "Hey, this guy did a really nice job today. He's come a long way." And I'm like, "Well, 3 years ago, you didn't even want him on your fucking game." I go, "You don't
Yes.
like, and like
Yes.
now this kid is like, "Hey, where's he been all year?" Right? So it's like, whoa. Like the last text I can scroll up said, "I don't ever want to see this kid again." But they don't want to let us grow as officials with the league, right? And they see one error and they just cast judgment, and you're a horrible official for the rest of time, right? Like you could have just had a bad day, but your first impression of those coaches was you weren't ready and you're not, see you later.
It's universal.
Yep.
That's universal for all sports. It's just
Yeah.
I got that hi-yo from a coach, and he said, "This guy's terrible. Don't ever send him back again."
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I say, "We don't blackball people. I don't have enough people to blackball people.
Yeah. I wish I
You
could.
get
Yeah.
what you
Right.
get."
Yeah.
And it's always funny because I think coaches that have been around that are good, that recognize, oftentimes I think they will pick on the third official, who is the newer official, and
Yes.
just torture the kid and basically let the the referee and the umpire kind of slide. Like I know them, I know the game they'll call. When it's on the line, they'll make the right call.
Right.
But, and that's what happened. Was it a perfect example? It was John Robert. I only hear from him. He's the head coach at Wesleyan University in Connecticut.
Yeah.
Great NESCAC school, great program. They won a national championship a few years ago.
Awesome.
So, anyways, he had a tough game, and I think it was against like Amherst College, and they were at home, and there were three officials on the game, two senior guys and one new guy. And he sent me clip after clip on the new guy. And I finally said to him, "John, I'm not blackballing this guy, but we'll have a Haitian divorce for a year and you
Right.
won't see him. But guess what? He's coming back."
Right.
I said, "You're going to want him versus those other two guys that I saw." I watched his clips, but then I had to go back. I watched the whole 2 hours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I do the same
Thank
thing.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I watched the whole 2 hours and I said, the veteran guys weren't that sharp. And, this kid kind of covered for them on some of the calls. He made the offside call that you sent me the clip, but you didn't send me the whole clip because the camera didn't get the whole angle. Your kid was offside. It's
Right.
like, okay.
Right. It's
Okay.
funny when they make the right call, they still think the kid sucks, but even though like, hey, the kid actually made a really tough call. He made the right call. I've talked to coaches all the time. So like, um, just so we can back up for our audience, Fran, can you tell us what you do now as a profession with like you kind of got the same type of role I do as a
Yeah.
supervisor of officials. You have that same role in lacrosse, right?
Yes.
And the different leagues you
No.
do. So can you just explain that?
Well, it's just like I said, I can't afford to blackball anyone, and
Right.
we don't blackball. I mean, the third official is a younger, new official coming up. Does he get all the nuances? Um, we had one this year. It was Harvard Brown,
Mm,
men's lacrosse, and it was like halfway through the season. Brown has a new coach who I love and great guy, and Harvard had a fantastic year. They beat Syracuse in the Dome. Um, they, my love,
mm.
honey, she's got her
Um,
headset
yeah,
head
tell
things
her to
in
come say
anyway.
hello.
Anything can happen when you're online.
I know, honey, get away, yeah. But so they were at Brown. So Brown was hosting, and Brown had a tough year. New coach. They fired the old coach because they weren't doing well, and it was a kind of a continuation. So he was hired, didn't get to bring in his players that he wanted, and so he was having a losing season. And the Brown parents and alum, a tough audience, as most schools are, anyways. And it was a home game, and Brown was playing out of their mind and Harvard was playing down. And it was a close game. It was a 1-goal game. And there was a play in the box. All of the action is up around the net and the offensive end. And there was a play in the trail where the Harvard kid kind of gave the the Brown kid gave a Harvard kid kind of a jab and stuff. And so the trail official, who happened to be the youngster on the game, called interference and just had Brown lose the ball on the offensive end, and it goes back the other way to Harvard. And the head coach had a total meltdown and went after the crew after the game. He sent clips. Actually, he didn't send clips. He just complained. But but we can go online and access all of the game
Right.
film. And so we went and looked at it, and you could see something, but it wasn't the focus of the camera. The action was down at the other end, so you really can't see it. So you had to trust but it was a tough call. Was it the right call? Yes. Is it a call you make at that time in a big game like that? Yeah, it's like those when people say, that's a slash. Well,
Right.
is that 100% or is that 70-30 or is that 60-40 or 50-50?
Right.
So anyways, the poor official got reamed out. He got knocked out of the playoffs. He couldn't do a playoff game in Division One,
Right.
but I gave him a playoff game in Division Three. And, he'll be back next year. Actually, he is back for fall ball, but not at Brown.
Hmm.
He's got a game at Providence College this fall. And, at some point, he'll go back to Brown.
Yeah.
you know, so, I mean, that's what you have to deal with. And actually, he went above my head and talked to the national coordinator of officials, who's Tom Abbott from Syracuse area. And Tom wrote back to him and said, "We'll talk after the season."
Yeah. Right.
It's like we're not doing this now. And so Tom had a tough year in his role as the national coordinator of officials, and he has to deal with, he's a big time, old time lacrosse royalty. Like you guys are hockey royalties. The Bender family, it doesn't change to a new assigner. It gets handed down to the next generation. You know what?
That is
How old
true.
is your son now? Wait a second,
Yeah.
Gino.
Yeah. Right.
you know, so there's something to that, but is it good or bad? No, it's just how it is, and it's the passion that you have and you bring to the sport. So anyways, Tom had such a bad year as the national coordinator of officials with coaches complaining about officials, that he just said, what? He's done this so long. He just said, I need a reset. And so the first video of the year coming out will be sportsmanship from the coaches. If they leave the coach's box, we're going to give them a conduct foul. This is automatic. It can't be, well, we might
Love
have
that.
missed a call. And so, and lacrosse is good because we have that ability to do a conduct foul, which is like a 30-second foul. And if you have the ball, it's basically just a loss of possession. So if you're in the offensive end and you're still complaining about the play at the other end, well, you're going to lose the ball in the offensive end. It's more problematic if he has the ball and he's still complaining. Then you say, oh no, the other team has the ball. Then it's a flag down, and you're going to get you're going to get a 30-second penalty on top of it. Stop that.
That's what I loved about officiating lacrosse as opposed to hockey, because if a guy was chirping me every time his team got the ball, going the
Conduct
other way.
foul.
And
Yes.
I just kept turning the ball over. And I actually
Right.
learned that from your dad,
Mm.
and it was a
Slow,
simple
slow
thing.
burn.
Yeah. And I always would say to them, are we going to do this all day?
Yeah,
'Cause
exactly.
I
Yeah,
don't have a
Exactly.
problem doing it all day.
Mm.
We can keep doing it. Your team will never have the ball.
Right.
And,
Right.
I like that. And I also like the fact that, and maybe this culture has changed. You can tell me, but back in the day, this was a long time ago. Hockey culture is such that coaches, trip referees and kind of yell and can kind of go off the handle. Lacrosse was a little bit, excuse me, sir, as opposed to, hey, shithead, It was like different in that way, and the kids would be like, "Excuse me, sir," and it's like, "What?" I'm used to be getting called, every name in the book.
Yeah.
So that was the cool part. Now I don't know if that culture has changed at all, but that's what I
Yes.
loved about it. It was easy to control the coaches because it was like, unless of course you were in Duxbury, and that's a whole nother story. I'll share a story about that if you want.
Yeah, sure.
But is that culture the same?
You know, what's happened when I came in the '80s and the '80s, '90s, it was still more or less, prep schools, the Milton Academies,
Mm.
Roxbury Latin, St. Sebastian's, BC High, it's like the coaches knew the rules, they knew what to do, and so basically, when you took the ball away, they got it immediately, and they
Yep.
said, "Oh god, okay, you know what? If you don't come on the field yelling at me. Let me come up to you and sashay up to you, keeping my eyes on the field, but my back to you. You can whisper sweet nothings in my ear and tell me what I missed.
Yeah.
But if you come on the field, start screaming, I'm sorry, my hands are tied. That's it. So the prep schools were always very, very good, and they still are. The coaches, most actually probably all of them have all played lacrosse. The coaches under 40 and the older ones probably played as well. And so they have that. It's our sport. We don't embarrass our sport. We treat it the right way. When the public schools came in, you have uh, unfortunately, you have some really good public schools. You have a Duxbury, you have a Hingham, you have Norwell in Division 3 or 4 that they
Yeah,
play in.
Noel, Situate, Cohasset. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Lexington.
yeah,
Mhm.
St. John's Prep on the north.
Yep.
Those schools have traditionally have had a strong background in men's boys lacrosse, and they treat it that way. And so, when a school like Bill and Bill Ricker, I always called the Weymouth of the North.
Yeah, that's a
uh,
good one.
it's kind of the same thing, and that's how they treat it. It's kind of a semi. We play lacrosse, but we like football too, and
Yep.
so if that kind of we will do something like that if we can get away with it. And so when you have teams that are well versed, well skilled, well schooled versus others that aren't as skilled or well schooled, I mean, the outcome is automatic. The question is, how is that losing team and the winning team going to take it? Is the winning team going to be assholes about it and like, ha ha, you guys suck, or what, or the school that stinks says, I'm going to learn. I'm going to get better. I'm just going to not give up on this guy. I'm going to keep working it. So, I mean, it's that. So it has changed, and with that change, for me, it was perfect timing for me because I came in. Nobody knew the rules. I didn't know the rules, but I figured them out finally. And
Mm.
the parents didn't know the rules, so you really
Right.
Some of the
who
coaches didn't know the rules.
well, some of the early public school coaches definitely didn't. But what's
Yep.
happened since I'd say 2000 is we've got a nice cadre of younger officials that were lacrosse players, and they are officials now, and they do multiple sports. They cross over. One of my favorite one is Greg Toogood. Uh, I had to yell at
Yes.
him. I said, Greg, I
Oh,
gave
good.
you I gave you a lacrosse game for the fall. You haven't accepted it. He said, "Oh, I thought it was a hockey game. I was going to get to that. I said, oh, you can
Yeah.
let the hockey one stay out there. Is that it, Greg? What's the deal?" He says, "Well, Franny, we're getting married, finally."
Yeah.
Whose house are you going to live in, Greg? Wait a second now. His, uh,
That
uh,
his
so
fiance is going to the Olympics.
yes,
Yep.
yeah. She's going to take her +1 with her too, I
Yes.
think, if she
And
can.
and
Yes.
too good is spelled TWO good, not
Yes.
TOO good. That's for
Yes.
sure.
He's too good.
Yes.
Uh,
And I love Greg. And so, anyways, he's at the point in his lacrosse career that we've had a conversation last year and this year. It's like I'm trying to get him to step up more, or me to
Mhm.
place him in the referee's role more. And you help the umpire field judge, and you take over the game, and with the thought that you could be a Division I official as well.
Right.
And he's like, "Oh, I didn't know how that worked." I mean, he says, "I just shut up and take the games." I said, "I know, but you need to say something to me."
Right.
And, and he would always have to, early season, turn back some things. I just said, "Block it out, will you? You got a hockey game, block it out, so I don't
Right.
give you a lacrosse game."
Right.
But I love Greg. He's awesome. He's
Great
awesome.
kid. Yeah, he works
Yeah.
Division 1 for us. Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And you know what? And for him, as he says, I do so many hockey games. He'll do 50 to 70 hockey games a season.
Mhm.
And for me, the best he'll get from me is 20 to 30 games of lacrosse, so and he says, once hockey's over, I'm yours, but until,
Right.
so we try to work it out. And I have a lot of officials. The best officials I have are guys that do other sports,
Mm.
whether it's soccer, football, basketball. I got 3 or 4 basketball guys, and they're
Nice.
big. Um, so yeah, we have Mike McCluskey's done the national championship, and he'll do Adelphi or Pace games for me when he's not working. He was actually doing a game at Hofstra, and Adelphi scheduled a game at on the same day on a Saturday, but they didn't tell us till late. So
Mhm.
Adelphi's in the Northeast 10 Division 2. And so I'm like talking to my buddy in New York. I'm like, there's nobody available. I'm looking at all the Division 1 schedules, 2, 3, nobody's around. And so I finally wound up having to get Mike McCluskey and the 2 other guys. They were doing the Hofstra game at 1 o'clock. And I called the Adelphi people. I said, the only way you're playing on Saturday is if you play at 4 o'clock, because they can walk across the street from Hofstra over to Adelphi and do your game at 4. And so they said, okay, we'll do it at 4 o'clock. So, I mean, you have stuff like that. So we work with everybody.
Yes,
Uh,
yes, you have to get it done. It's impossible. We work
how do you
together with
how
the
do you deal with it with all
yeah,
the other
same
conferences?
well, same thing, right? Like we got officials that work multiple conferences, and we talk as supervisors, and we're all on RefQuest, so you can see all the schedules and things like that. So
Right.
we just made that deal, which is another animal, but
We can
uh,
talk about that if you want.
yeah, I mean,
We're on
it's
RefQuest
yeah,
too now.
yeah, I know all the sports have to be. It's ridiculous in my opinion, but it's what they're doing, and all the referees have to pay the fees, and they get
$100.
yeah.
Yeah.
We're more than that for hockey.
You are.
Yeah, it
Oh,
was
so we're
like
getting a deal.
yes, you are.
This is through the NCAA for us.
Yes,
It
same
makes
thing.
you
Yep.
you pay $100, and basically it's the NCAA's cut from RefQuest,
Right.
and that's all we have to pay. But our officials also have to pay the national organization as well.
Mm,
But yeah, and then we get into insurance, but the
yep.
insurance is horrible. I don't know what you guys have, but
Yeah, it's like a little. It's nothing really. It's what I tell guys to get NIHOA, and that's the way to go.
to get what?
NIHOA, which is
Okay.
yep,
Let me
secondary
write that.
insurance.
Yeah, because ours was terrible. I had a young stud at University of Vermont last year, and they were playing Binghamton. It
Hmm.
was a scrimmage early in the season, not a big deal. And it was on a Saturday at 1 o'clock. It was like the second Saturday in February. And so it's Vermont. They're all skiing in February.
Right.
Most of Vermont home games don't start till March or April. And so, anyways, the field crews do a great job, but they do the entire field. So the field conditions were great. But what happened was, once you get off the parameter of the field, they didn't do jack shit. So
Mm,
if the sun came out and hit maybe the end line and to the end where the balls are, okay, great. But if the sun didn't hit it, it's still ice, and so they never fixed that. The official was keeping the play in bounds, in front of him, trying to keep his spacing, and he just stepped off the field itself because the play was coming out right in front of him. He hit a patch of ice, went down,
oh,
ripped his ankle totally, and it
oof.
was a 3-man game. He wound up uh, so this was in the fourth period with 5 minutes left in the game. It happened on the bench side of the visitors. So They opened up the gate. The ambulance comes right onto the field, and they put him on the cart. They rush him over to the Burlington Hospital, and just how crazy things are. He gets there, and there's an incoming snowstorm, and so
Oh,
they say,
geez.
"Oh, we sent everybody home. It's 3:10 or 3:15 on a Saturday night. We sent everybody home except for X-ray technician. So we can take an X-ray of your ankle." He said, "Whatever,"
Yeah.
and so he wound up having to spend the night. His wife had to come up and get him, and they couldn't get out the next day.
Oh,
The athletics director at UVM came over and brought them bagels and coffee to "Don't sue UVM, please."
yeah, right.
you know, uh,
Jeez.
and so our insurance last year through our old insurance through U.S. Lacrosse, they paid. They will only they don't. It used to be good, like they would give total game reimbursement. However many games you had, you lost, you
Yep.
would be reimbursed. They don't anymore. They
Yeah.
decided it was capped at $1,900. I don't know where they ever came up with that figure, but they capped it at $1,900. And there was a little tiny read the fine print. If you didn't take their test online versus the national organization test, they would charge you $500 out of the 1,900 you were going to get. So you'd get even less. They said, there's a deductible. You have to read the fine print. Do you see why Luigi Mangione went crazy in New York last
Yeah,
year?
right.
um,
Yeah, right.
so insurance, everyone says, "Oh, I have insurance," but you don't know what insurance you have until
You
you
need
need
it.
to use it.
Right.
Is it good insurance or is it bad? So, you
It's
know,
an interesting point because a lot of people, a lot of our listeners might not even think of that aspect
yeah,
of refereeing, especially, you know, the pro levels and stuff, they're all taken care of. But,
Right.
youth and high school and college officials, no matter what the sport, there's an injury potential there for all of us.
right,
And it's something that, I think if you're not in it, you don't think about it. But that's something that, we as officials have to think about.
right, right, right. So,
I actually just had lunch with the president of NIHOA this afternoon. He's up here refereeing and, you know, went out yapping him about a bunch of stuff. And it's really good about, the secondary insurance, because in hockey, they cover you from the time you leave your house to the time you get home. Right. And
oh,
like,
that's
yeah, if
fantastic.
you're leaving for, like anywhere, it doesn't matter what type of, it could be a USA hockey game, it could be anything. Like they still cover you if you're refereeing ice hockey. So, I think it's well worth it, in my
No,
opinion.
that's great to know. I don't
Yeah.
think our guys are covered like that. I don't
Mm,
think they changed the policy in the last year or two. So
right.
I don't know what it really covers. I actually had I had a crew send me a video. And when I got it, I said, "Where are you guys? What are you doing?"
Mm,
And they said, "Well, Freddie, we're on our way to the Air Force Academy for you." And I said, "What?" I said, "Is the game canceled?" They said, "No." And they were going through a whiteout.
oh
I was
yeah.
like, "How many more hours are you going to be driving?" Oh, they said, "We're only about an hour and a half away now." I was like, "Yeah, take your time. They can't start without you. Arrive safely." Yeah.
I worked the NCHC out in, Denver, and then you got Colorado College, and we
Yep.
have Air Force and Atlantic hockey. So I'm going out there in November. I go out there once a year. It's awesome out there. And
It is. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
we've had officials had games canceled because of snow going down there. Yeah.
Right.
Highway
Right.
shut down. See you later.
That happened
Well,
a lot in the Midwest too, and I'm sure it happened to you, Gino, with the USHL.
I
Um,
went through a
you know,
tornado and didn't realize it. Yeah, like hail was coming down. Also, so I just pulled over. I was like,
get him, pull
yeah,
over.
yeah.
It's
You
like,
had
get
a
off
few of
the.
those in Southie too, but they
yeah, right.
weren't weather related.
No, they
No,
weren't. That's a
oh,
story
that
for
was my
another
grandmother.
day.
I'll tell you, that's why I bring it up and I joke about it sometimes, but Aflac is the best insurance to have. It's like that supplementary insurance, and the duck is annoying as shit. But I'll tell you what,
Do they
I've
sponsor
had it for
podcasts?
I've had it for years. I know they should spawn.
You
I
should
know
get the duck on.
we
Yes,
should
let's
get
get
the
the
duck
duck,
on.
the
Um,
duck and zebras.
that would be
Yeah.
awesome. No,
All
but
right.
I'm telling you what, you get hurt and they, no matter what, there's so much money they pay for ambulance ride or an x-ray or surgery. And I've had it for years, and it's great to have if you have kids too, because you can be covered. But what's funny is they don't. I think it's rock climbing and shark attacks. I don't think they cover.
They cover.
But
Okay.
when the woman came to the school where I work, she put out the plan, and she said, if you have kids or whatever, and blah blah blah. So I, of course, being me, I go, let's hypothetically say I hurt my wrist pushing my kid down the stairs, and they get hurt too. Can I do a double? She goes, you got to wait 24 hours in between claims. She didn't even miss a beat. And I was like, all right, sign me up. Sign me up. So now I remember I mentioned Duxbury, and I want to hear your craziest coach interaction, because we've had
Okay.
fun in hockey. But mine was with the longtime coach at Duxbury, Chris Sweet.
Chris Sweet. Yep.
And he kept running on the field. He was playing a team from Long Island. They were smoking him. It was like 16-4. And he kept arguing calls. And he ran out in the field. And I said, listen, you run out in this field again, I'm hitting you right in the middle of your chest with my flag. And he said, yeah, okay. And sure enough, the next time he ran out, I whipped that flag as hard as I could, hit him right in the chest. And he wasn't happy with it. Let's just say that. And after the game, he came after me. His assistant coach had to hold him back. And of course, I'm like, let's go, And
Maybe that's why you
next
didn't
time-
make it, Mark.
the next time
Yeah.
I went there, I know it would have been ugly. It would have been ugly. The next
My money
time
would
I
be
went
on
there,
you, though.
well, yeah. You mentioned Jimmy Ty. He did the game with me because he knew what happened. He was assigning at the time. And he
Yeah.
said, I want you to run the other side of the field the whole game.
I'll
I
take
go,
care of
"Bull-"
him.
I said, bullshit. I'm not running. I'm running the bench side in one of these halves, because I'm not, no, that's not how we're going to do this. And sure enough, I did. And it was not a problem.
Right.
It wasn't an issue, but that was my, I think, craziest
Hey,
one.
Right.
Hey, Riley.
Right.
Do you have like an
Yeah.
air fryer going off or something?
Do I have an answer?
I hear like a robot,
the
or we're
Zebras.
picking. I don't know if anyone else can hear it. I'm picking up like some kind of
I can
R2D2
hear that
thing.
too. Oh, like it's like a banging or a tapping or something.
Yeah, that too. But now there's a
Someone's
robot
tapping?
attached to it. I can't figure out where it's coming from.
No, I don't have any robot here. Frankie Chirps is sleeping, so I don't know.
Well, I think
He's
he
not
might be
making
low
any
on
noise.
battery.
Oh.
I mean, speaking of assaults, did you guys see the umpire beat the crap out of the coach? He smoked him in the head with
No.
he put, and then he
No.
so I guess there was an altercation. Like the guy got in his face, and he spits on the ump, and the ump just like
Ooh.
punches him, and then he has the mask in his hand, smokes him with it, and this ump's huge, and then they throw a couple punches, wrestle around, but like, yeah, that just went out there. It's just like,
wow.
what are we
Well,
doing?
there's been a few, obviously well documented on the social medias of assaults in hockey where either parents or coaches go after officials. Is that something that's happened in lacrosse?
No.
No, I never see that.
You know what? I had a conversation with Daryl Benson, who you remember, Mark.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Daryl's been the lifetime, probably 30 years or so, 25 years, a signer for all of the high school and the summer league, summer tournament stuff, the primetime lacrosse, Massachusetts lacrosse, all of that stuff. And he's always done that. He said over his lifetime, he's only had 3 instances of officials being sued, and all 3 times, basically what he says is it goes to when a parent complains about little Johnny getting beat up in a game and the officials didn't do anything. It's gone to court 3 times, and basically it doesn't go before a judge. It goes before the clerk of courts or something who handles the judge's caseload. And basically, he does a little interrogatory and he tries to determine what are the facts of this. Does it merit going before the judge or no? And all three times, because they try to bring in everybody, so they always say we're suing the officials as well. And so
Mm.
basically, Daryl's already been always asked, do these guys take a written test that they are up and current on the rules? He says yes. Do they have training, X amount of times a season to keep them up to speed? Yes. Do they do any extra? Well, they do, these guys do college and high school and youth. And all three occasions it was always thrown out. So no
Mm.
official ever been sued successfully in New England. Not that it couldn't happen someplace else. But the big thing about RefQuest, Gino, one of the big primary movers for us in men's lacrosse, and it didn't stop because of lacrosse. I think it was another sport. Part of your $100 sign up for RefQuest is you have to check the box for a background check.
Yes.
And the schools want that. We actually do it for Eastern Massachusetts high school lacrosse. I don't know if the other people do it, but the colleges wanted that. And for colleges and university, they're just looking for another layer of, redundancy in terms of we did what we were supposed to. You can't sue us because
Right.
this official you brought to the game is a drunk and,
Right.
had to be taken off the plane as the pilot. Okay, I can still fly. So a lot of schools like that. So I mean, there's a lot of coverage through that way. Anyways, you must see that as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's good to hear that. Like, does not, because I always said lacrosse was more of a gentlemanly game, right?
For the most part.
Unless I was
Yes.
at BC High and Gino was on defense. And because what's funny is we both refereed him in lacrosse.
Dude, the man ball drills. If that ball was on the ground, I never yelled ball. I always yelled man.
Man.
Yeah,
You're a hockey person.
Yeah.
You never got a penalty from me. That was the funny part.
I got plenty, but yeah, I was like, God, did I hit him too hard? They were like, no, your guy picked the ball up. He's going the other way. I'm like,
yeah, you got to let it go.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, you can't finish your hit.
I was always looking at a plane landing at Logan when you croaked someone. I never.
Look at the
never saw
plane.
it.
Look at the plane.
I never saw you hacking someone.
Never.
Oh, God.
It was
You
kind of
guys are
like you
funny.
and Hockey Night in Boston too.
Yeah,
So,
right.
Same thing, same
yeah.
thing. But I always looked at it as more of that like gentlemanly kind of thing. And plus, I think where you're on the field and people are right there. Like with hockey, at least you have the boards. Even on the
Right.
bench, you still have the boards, and there's a separation. And with parents, there's the separation of the glass and the boards, and they're not in the playing area. Where lacrosse, everyone's right there.
Right.
You're running the sideline opposite the benches. There's parents. I'll never forget a guy from Nobles chirping me at there, and every time I ran by, and then I used a Bill Stewart line. Hey, I didn't recognize you. It's good to see you in men's clothing, and that shut him right up. Everyone around him started laughing. He didn't say another word the rest of the game. But
I'll have to remember that one. Billy Stewart. All right.
Yeah, I think it was Billy Stewart that did that. I don't know. It was it could have
My
been
father
someone
uses
else
that
from
line all the time.
Oh yeah, that line's
Could have been.
classic. It's a great line. It shuts anyone up. But
that came from Billy Stewart's courthouse days.
Yes.
Honestly, I think he said that when he was doing a game. I want to say it was at Harvard, but he was doing a college game, and someone yelled down from the stands, and that's what he yelled up. I'm pretty sure it's attributed to him. But it's a great line. It shuts anyone up. But but parents, players, coaches, they're right there. There's no separation.
Right.
But yet there's not the problems that hockey has more than like a lacrosse. It's just interesting.
But it's like anything. the parents are so invested and they've paid so much money.
Mm.
These tournaments, these showcases, all of this stuff is just money machines, and the refs aren't getting enough money. They need a raise,
Agreed.
you know.
Yes.
And so the parents have gotten. First of all, they've gotten much more knowledgeable in my time. So
Mhm.
like I still get out to a couple of the summer tournaments for the little kids and even the high school kids because I see a lot of the assistant coaches that are recruiting. A lot of the head
Mm.
coaches don't come,
Right.
or they're going to the big one down in Baltimore. So I see the assistant coaches. I see the officials that are working for me, doing summer stuff. How you doing? How's everything going? How's your day job? Is that still working so you can still get out for lacrosse?
Right.
And so the parents are much more active, involved, and vociferous in their what's going on out there. So
Right.
for me, I'm old. I've been around forever. I just disarm them. What do you say? I always start with the father who's on the cell phone. I come by and I say, Dad, you're missing the best part of the game. Come on, get back in
Yeah.
the game here. So I start on the dad and then I go to the mom. I'll come over and I'll give one of my flags to the mom and I'll say, you know what, if I miss something, help me out here. Okay. All right. you know, and so, I mean, basically you humanize it, you get them on your side. So when something stupid happens and, you don't let something stupid happen,
Right.
you try to nip it in the bud or you don't want any of that things to go off kilter.
Right.
So anyways,
Yeah, no, it's an interesting dynamic that I found because, they're right there.
yeah,
They're
yeah,
running that sideline and there's no separation.
yeah,
And, and now you bring up the club stuff. We talked about it with many of our guests. Mark Mowers brought it up, Kenny Hodge brought it up.
mm,
We talked about it before with a lot of guests, how and I'm interested to hear if lacrosse is the same way. Everything's become a 12-month commitment. Like, kids are playing one sport now for 12 months,
What's it,
and
Massachusetts? Yeah.
there's club hockey, like, everywhere,
right,
and like you just said, people are paying $10,000-$12,000 for their kid to play,
right.
and they're playing year-round. Is that something that you've seen in lacrosse where we see the talent, hockey used to be really, really good, right? And now
Yeah.
it's still really good, but only at, certain levels, because there's just too much. There's too many teams.
I agreed with you 100%. And I think the bigger, better schools look at their kids and say, this kid's an athlete.
Mhm.
And so we don't want him playing for the club team then. He can play, once, football season is over, soccer season's over, basketball's over. Um, it's it, it they want them to be well-rounded athletes and individuals. I think some kids maybe think that that's the way to go and that's how they'll get better. They should get better because they're getting all this training and exposure, but at the same time, maybe they just don't have it. And it's why, and for parents to spend all that money, when you come to a lacrosse tournament, the parents are all outside sitting right there. They brought their beach chairs with the cover, they put, sunblock on. They're there. They got their cooler.
I was
We're not
just
going
gonna
to
say
buy
they got the
lunch here.
cooler.
Well,
They
what
got
is
the
that?
cooler.
I saw the
I
parents
can
today
tell
setting the tents up.
Yeah, yeah.
but
That's not coffee in that
yeah,
tumbler, right?
they
Mhm.
they they're doing the right thing, and that the money thing isn't as huge. I just went down to see my grandson from LA. He's a senior in high school at Loyola High School, and shout out to Loyola High School.
Right on.
And he's a senior in high school. He's 6'10", and he played in a basketball tournament in Orlando. And I went there. I didn't know what to expect. I thought I'd be sitting outside with like basketball courts and stuff. And it was inside the Orlando Civic Center, huge. And it was 50 basketball courts side by side by side by side. And forward and back. It was constant whistles, nonstop, sun up to sundown, and later, and I was like blown away. And I had to pay $100 just to come in to watch it for 4 days. And
Wow.
I just said, "Wow, that's crazy." Plus, the kids have to pay. Um, so I mean, and I know historically from my basketball guys, they don't like to do the lower level club stuff because they don't get paid a lot. There are
Right.
so many more basketball officials. Everybody does basketball, so they get it's like supply and demand.
Right.
There's a ton of basketball guys. Well, we don't have to pay you a whole lot. They give them 35, $40 a game, and they're happy. And I was at this tournament. I was watching the officials. My eye was drawn to them, and
Right.
I saw some really good officials. And I I saw my grandson had a horrible two older guys that were really past their prime. But the other team was so good it really didn't matter.
Right.
My grandson's team lost, but I'm sitting beside a parent from the other team, and it's like, yeah, they missed that call too.
Yeah. Right. Right. Right.
But I said, I think your team's going to win though, and they were pretty good. So it's hard, but I think kids should always play multiple sports.
Mm.
If you go to a private school, prep school, that's what they want,
Right.
But you get certain schools like IMG in Florida and the Hill Academy up
Yep.
in Canada in Toronto. I mean, these kids play their sport year round, and it's just they get the best coaches, the best everything, but the parents are paying $100,000 to board them down at the school. So it's
Wild.
Yeah, those hockey academies are now popping up where,
yeah.
like they go to school to play hockey and kind of as our buddy Pat Shea says in Full Ride, they're athlete students, not student athletes. And
Right.
are there like those lacrosse academies? Are there schools like that?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
IMG does all sports. They do
Yeah, yeah.
golf, hockey, tennis. Hill Academy does the same thing.
Yep.
I was just talking to someone that said there's a program now, maybe in the Framingham area, that's doing that as well. They're getting kids in just to be athlete students. But
Yep.
you know what? I have to tell you this. I'm a personal fan favorite of Jerry Burns, the Harvard men's lacrosse coach. Great guy, wonderful individual. He said the greatest compliment he received was this year at Harvard. He said because um, the professors, when he walks through the campus, he'll walk by teachers and professors, and they know who he is, and he knows some of them, not all of them, but and a couple of the professors said, uh, "Coach Burns, we love your academic, athletic warriors that come to our
Mm.
classes."
Mm.
And I was like, "Wow." Uh, Jerry says the team at Harvard with the highest GPA is the men's lacrosse team.
Mm.
Maybe that's just in
Wow.
men's lacrosse. I would think the women might be smarter, but you know,
Yeah.
Typically
uh,
they are. Let's
yeah,
be
yeah.
honest.
uh, so it's nice to see kids that focus on a sport and want to be excel and be the best they can, but at the same time, they're getting that academic component for afterlife. What are you going to do after that? Whether you go pro or whether you're out working or volunteering next year, what are you going to do with your life? Are you a good citizen? No. So good
Now,
story.
as far as like, it, hockey, there's a lot of minor pro leagues. So kids coming out of school can go pro.
Right.
There's leagues in Europe. Of course, everyone wants to make the NHL, but that's not usually the case for a majority of
The
people, right?
pyramid. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Look
No,
for lacrosse. Is there a pro like route that
no.
they can go after college?
No. Well, there is a pro route. They have the PLL. Actually, the semifinals and finals. The semifinals are this weekend.
Is that box lax? Is that indoor
No,
lacrosse?
it's outdoors. It's
That's
summer
the
league.
outdoor
It's
league. Yep.
outdoors.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's on this weekend coming up, and so you can go that route. They're actually paying more because they do have a TV contract now. And everything for sports that drives the bus is NIL money, NCAA money, TV money. Um, there's uh, there's 11 conferences in men's lacrosse. There's only 77 schools, and of the 11 conferences, basically the primary ones are the ACC, the Big East, and the Big Ten. And there might be some outliers in the Atlantic 10, or maybe from the ACE. Utah and Jacksonville have had a couple of good years, the last couple. So, there could be surprises, but basically those conferences, the Big Ten has their own TV network and they
Right.
use it for hockey. So I'm dating myself again, but in the old days, previously, before the TV contracts, I mean, we would do a signing for college like in just November, December, and be all set, do a sign for the year, and now we have to wait.
Um,
Sometimes we have to wait for the ACC because they like to go to Thursday or Friday night games now for the TV. The Big Ten likes Friday night lights. They like that, which in essence helps us. If the Division One schools play during the week, that frees up those Division One officials for other Division One games or even Division Two or Three games on a Saturday. So we have to change for the TV, so we wind up always juggling schedules. Okay,
right. That's
so
difficult.
which makes it problematic. Do you see that, Gino?
Well, our stuff doesn't really move as much. Like the schedules are pretty much set. Like I
Uh-huh.
had our schedule in like early June, and then I worked on it the last week in July, and I was pretty much done with it the first week in August. And then I'm going to be constantly making adjustments for the next couple of weeks, but they're just
Yeah.
minor changes. But the first half is already assigned all the way
No,
through
good for
December,
you.
so it's nice. Yeah, and
Take
then
care
now
of take care
no,
of Greg Too Good.
Greg's got a couple of series, yep. And but the same deal, right? So like my father has all the D3 stuff. He has like 4 leagues, and
Okay.
so now that I got that out, we can start placing everybody else up, and then it just everything filters down, and then the juniors get assigned and everything else. So it's it's
And
wild.
people don't understand that. And so lacrosse actually has gone in the last 3-4 years. We only assign 2 or 3 weeks out,
Mm,
uh, maybe 4 weeks out, but we don't release all of it until like 2 or 3 weeks beforehand,
okay.
because we're waiting to see which teams are going to be better this year, which officials are going to be better, what officials are coming back and don't look quite as small as they used to, and
That's why we just do the first half, second half. Second half is
it's like,
for the people
who's
that are
our
excelling. Yeah,
playoff official here and who isn't, so
right.
we like to match up the teams with the better officials, and then it literally filters down to everything. So like
Hmm.
if I have to pull a Division One official off a Division 3 game at Tufts and bring him up for a BU game,
Right,
then all of a sudden now I have a hole at Tufts, and I'm like, who are they
right,
playing? Are
right,
they
right,
playing
right.
Amherst, Bowdoin, Williams, Wesleyan, you know, what am I going to do? Do I have to
Right.
just make it work and close my eyes and okay?
Well, trust me, I do that all the time. It's wild, and because and I actually a kid just asked me this question this morning, like, hey, what do I need to do to get into Atlantic hockey? And I was like, just get the biggest foundation you possibly can, because when you
Right,
come here, you don't want to make any mistakes, right? You should be ready to rock and
right,
roll.
exactly,
Conquer all the leagues behind. Because like I already made that mistake with like 2 or 3 kids. They've come in just on the lines and they didn't excel the way I thought they would, but they weren't ready either. So like,
right, right.
and they didn't have that foundation that a lot of the other kids that come in do. And those are the ones that usually succeed.
And you know what gets problematic too now is I'm seeing a little more of it tick up is guys that come up through the ranks, but then settle into college, do Division 1 or high level Division 2, 3, and they stop doing high school or they can't get out
Yes.
their work as much. And so basically they're taking the cream, like in the old days, like
Yep.
we did
That's what's going
everything.
on in hockey too. It's
You
brutal.
did the youth games in the summer, you did high school all year, whenever they
Yep.
wanted. You did Division 2 and 3 games. And if you had Division 1 games, that took precedent. But
Right.
that's just it. And so now we're not getting enough training by the
Nope.
college officials, the good college officials that aren't doing high school
No, they're
now.
not
So,
working on their craft, and
right,
it shows, and it drives me nuts because
right.
I would take I couldn't just work Friday, Saturday, right? So, like, my whole career, I had at least 3 or 4 games a week. So,
Oh, yeah.
like, on Tuesdays, I would take a D3 game. On a Wednesday, I'm taking a junior game, and, like, all the good officials that work for us are still doing that, and the ones that kinda
Right.
come in and out, they're making mistakes on a Friday night because they didn't come in ready, and then, like, by the second period, "Oh, okay, I'm in it," and then, by
Right.
then, it's third period, game's over, and you're getting you screwed the game up already. Um, so, like, I just kinda yeah, I think it's very important that trend is I don't know what it is, it's a generational thing or what, but, like, people feel like they got to D1 and they made it, and, like, I always look at, like, what Jerry Rice says, like, he had a rookie say to him one time, "Hey, man, you're Jerry Rice. Like, why are you going 110 miles an hour in practice?" He goes, "Why? Because when I get to the game, it's easy, and you're not going to take my fucking job."
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And don't forget that.
Right.
It's also too about giving back,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Right.
because I know, in hockey and also in lacrosse, especially in lacrosse, because I didn't play it and I didn't know anything about it. Um, Older guys helped me, not
Yeah.
necessarily older, but those more experienced guys
Yeah.
helped me figure out the sport, figure out, I know how to manage a game as a referee. That was no problem. But it
Right.
was figuring out those intricate rules of, this
Right.
midi is crossing over now, and this guy jumps and this guy goes and changes up. And you're like, what the fuck
Then you
just
got
happened?
five big
Like,
sticks on one
yeah.
side.
And then my flag gets stuck in my belt and I got the white shorts on and you don't know what's going on.
Right.
But
Oh,
that's giving back, right? And that's
right.
something that I think overall I mean, you could argue it's a societal problem. People don't want to give back. They don't want to go down and do the youth game or the younger game or the lower level game to
Everybody
help
asks,
out
yeah.
someone new, you know.
Yeah.
And part of that is the amount of games, right? Like,
Right.
there's too many, junior games in a weekend. It's hard for those guys to go work youth because they just don't have the time. But
Right.
when they do have the time, that giving back is I think somewhat lost.
Yeah. Not all the way across the board, but it's creeping in and it
Mhm.
kinda it's not helpful for us, bottom line.
Like, we used to always have, like, veterans, like, not letting us get away with that kinda stuff, right? Like, hey, they guided you and they held you to the fire a little bit, and, they did it in a good way, and you just followed their lead, and, like, you just didn't
Right.
know any better, right? And now these kids just it's too much. It's way far gone.
Right. Right. What you learn from the veteran officials is more or less after the game when you go to the
Mhm.
bar for a
Right.
water or
Ginger
Yeah.
ale.
Yeah.
ginger ale, vodka and soda. I mean,
Mhm.
it's like, oh, whatever. And you
Right.
talk about the games. How did it go?
Yes.
What did you call? Um, I always remember I worked with a young kid one time who was an up and coming. It was a stud. It was going to be a stud and is a stud now. But Daryl Benson and I and this young guy, we worked at a MIT game. And when the game got over, I didn't say anything to him during the game. We get to the bar and we walk in. We got cocktail in front of us, and when I go to Paul and I said, "Hey, Paul, how many flags did Daryl throw in the game?" And he said, "I think about 2 or 3 flags." I said, "How many flags did I throw in the game?" And he said, "Well, you had a couple more." I said, "Oh, okay, so I had 3, 4, maybe 5." "Okay, great." I said, "How many flags did you have?" Well, he starts counting on both hands, and he said, I think I might have had 11 or 12." And I said, "Do you think we missed stuff, or were you calling too much? Or were you giving an extra flag on top of something we already called that wasn't necessary for you to throw?" So, I mean, it's when you get a chance and you talk and or listen to the veteran guys, it's like, you see this once, file it away, don't do
Yep.
it again. Now,
Exactly.
so anyways,
No, that's a good way to approach it too, right? It's like you weren't we weren't talking negative to him. You just kind of
Yeah.
like, yeah, it was just matter of fact conversation, and it resonates, right? It's like, you don't really feel bad about yourself going home. You're actually, oh wow, I just learned something here. Like, I just got taught a lesson, which is pretty
He
cool.
he did. He
Yeah,
did. And so
I
he
love
still
that.
calls a little too much, but
But you know
He's
what?
gonna
Those
say
guys,
that
I'd
keep the
rather
next
have
game
those
you got
guys than the guys that don't call
exactly.
anything, right?
yeah.
You know what? Exactly. Yeah.
Because
He
the
left
guys
his
that don't call anything, they don't even know what a penalty is. So at least like they're
They don't
reacting
help
to
you.
things, and you can
Right.
reel them in a little bit and say, hey,
Right.
this one here, let it breathe. This one here, you need a call, and then reasons why.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. The new guy on the crew, you basically need to make 2 or 3 calls in a game to
hmm
kinda help us out.
yeah, right,
Otherwise, stay out of the way, let us do the stuff we need to do. We'll
right,
help you out if we need to, or if, whatever, but 2 or
right,
3 calls, that's new guy, and then work your way in. So,
right. No, that's good
Did
advice.
you ever do box? I brought up box lax and basically lacrosse in a hockey rink, and it's fucking chaos
I
sometimes.
played it in high school at Hingham. Yeah,
Yeah.
place just
Uh,
burnt down.
the place burnt down. I
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
No, they well,
what
they
place?
are the Hingham rink.
yeah. Next door to the
Oh,
Hingham rink. Yeah,
Yeah.
oh, the
Yeah.
sports complex thing?
Yeah, in
yeah.
Hingham.
It burnt
Yeah.
down?
Yep.
Yeah,
Holy
I thought
shit.
it wasn't from natural causes, but I've heard since that it was natural causes, so it's
Yeah.
it's okay,
Wasn't
you
That's
know?
insurance.
the that's
It
the
wasn't
joke.
an insurance deal.
The old
No.
Italian in the bar, and the guy walks
No,
in
no.
and goes, "Hey, sorry about the your bar burning down." He goes, "Shh, it's tomorrow."
No, so I heard they're already psyched and they wanna rebuild it. It was old and
It
long in the
was, yeah.
tooth. It needed it it's also very fortuitous that it did burn down, so
Right, and nobody got hurt, which is the most important
Yeah.
thing, right,
knock on wood.
right.
Yeah,
But that
exactly.
sport, box lacrosse, looks like it's just chaos.
It is.
It really,
Dangerous, dangerous. Don't wanna
yeah.
do it. No, thanks.
I mean, for
Yep.
everyone, you got a
Yeah.
shot ripping in there off the boards or whatever, and like typically in regular lacrosse, in hockey, you got to worry sometimes about getting hit by the puck. In lacrosse, I, you
Box
know,
lacrosse.
it,
You're
it,
gonna get
it
hit.
yeah, in regular cross, I don't think I ever saw anyone get hit with the ball, and if you did, you were probably not in the right place, you know? Um, but in
No,
box lax, you must that's
Yeah, it's
just
fast.
chaos.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
fights, I mean, it's kinda fun to watch, but
That's why it's popular in Canada.
right.
yeah. Well, I'm sure more people have watched that than watched a regular lacrosse game, like on an ESPN or something. I
Yeah,
mean, I enjoy watching those games, especially in the tournament, the
right.
college tournament, because it's like it's really good,
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
great. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, the
yeah,
way they move the ball around, the way they, run plays and
right.
all those things. And that's something that because I didn't play, I never, in hockey, you don't really have too many set plays.
No,
Maybe off face-offs, but or
right,
power play, but you don't have those plays where, you know, they start from X and they do this and this guy runs
right,
through and it's like
right.
football in a way,
Or
it's kinda
basketball. They
or
get the
basketball.
chalkboard. Yeah,
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 yeah, and that's
yeah,
the kinda interesting part of,
yeah,
you know, the difference between, our sport, hockey and lacrosse. Um, I found that kinda cool.
yeah, yeah. Well, this weekend, Labor Day weekend, is the PLL semifinals, and I think they're in Minnesota last week. I think they're in Philly this weekend, in Philadelphia. So it's good to watch. That's after college graduation. Uh, we also have some crossover. We've had some pretty good football players that play lacrosse as well. The starting wide receiver on the Notre Dame football team last year, I think he's back. I think he's only a senior now. He was on the starting team for the lacrosse last year, and he
Wow.
won the national championship the year before. So there's an athletic life for men's lacrosse after college, but it's in its infancy. TV contracts garner the money, so there's more money now. So if you're a name player, you get to play and make some dough. So maybe someday it will be right up there with other sports, but like I said, we only have 77 Division One schools playing men's lacrosse, so it's not a lot.
So
Not a
I
How
lot.
went
many
to A.
hockey
Oh, go ahead.
Gino, how many D1 hockey?
I don't know the number. I forget the number. I
More
don't
than
know that.
77, though.
Yeah, oh, yeah. I would
Yeah,
imagine.
I
Yeah.
it's not as big as you think for the Division 1.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not as big as you think.
Now,
Right.
But
I gotta ask this question because I may come back to officiate lacrosse, although I don't know if my knees would like the running part. But of course, Becca Peasy, the marathoner, came on, and I said I'd run the Boston Marathon next year. So fuck it, why not referee lacrosse again? Um, I don't think I'm
yeah,
going to
why
run
do
the
you wanna do
marathon.
that?
Let's be
No.
honest. But
No, no.
what's
No.
what's the fees?
Oh, God.
Great
Okay.
question.
Good question. Well, let's just talk high school. I love the Boys Hockey Association for high school. They last year told the hockey teams, the MIA, we are not working this year. And you can correct me, Gino, if I get this wrong. And they said, well, wait a second, you can't do that. So the school said, oh, the MIA sets they were the Three Stooges.
Mhm.
The
Yep.
school said the MIA sets the price. And the MIA says, oh no, the schools tell us, and so
Mm.
neither one would agree, and they have basically it's a closed shop, and they've always said what you're going to get paid, and
Mhm.
so the hockey officials last year said that ain't happening, and so right before the season, what was it, like 2 weeks before the season, they said we're not going to work.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember I was not part of it, but, a couple of the guys in the Eastern Mass chapter were big in that push,
Okay.
and, the argument was, "Why are we getting the same as, another, sports official when we're it's a lot more dangerous, it's a lot there's a lot more, to it, right? And not
Yeah.
necessarily more work, but you have to be able to skate, and there's
And
more,
physicality and
yeah,
be able to
and why
dance and deal with
you
all the
know,
people, and
and why
it's
are we getting paid the same as like a volleyball official? Not to
no.
take anything away from a volleyball official, but
uh,
I've watched them. They don't really do that much. All
Well, have you
right.
seen some of our high school
side
officials?
out.
Well, yeah, some of the high school
Some of
officials
them
don't
can't
do
even
much
touch their
either.
toes, let's be honest.
Yeah.
They
Well,
sit in that chair,
yeah.
side
It's not a
out.
bad gig if you can get it, right?
Exactly. Why are you getting the same? So they held out, and basically, they claimed, what was it, too late in the season to
Right.
change the
Yeah, but they
budget.
The
guaranteed next year
So
it would
this
go up.
year, you'll get $117 for a varsity
Yep.
hockey game, whereas football, lacrosse, I think this year it's going to be $107 for a varsity game. And then you get, if you do a JV game by yourself, it's a fee and a half at a lower rate, but it's, a fee and a half. And
I used to
so
love those, by the way, the B&F JVs. And
I'm
when
in
Yeah.
charge, Mark. Okay.
Oh,
I can do
really?
this.
Because the best part of the JV games were when they go, "We don't have a timer. Can you keep time on the field?" "Oh,
Okay.
I'd be happy to." And 42 minutes later, you're done with a 48-minute game.
Yeah.
Run into your car. "Thank
Well,
you."
you know what? But if one team was that much better than the other, you didn't need to play the 48 minutes.
No,
Right.
true.
But they
Very
thought they
true.
did, so
Very
all
true.
set. Yeah.
Yep.
So college varies, but we've always been a little on the higher end. And that's what I get when I have to negotiate with the Division 1, 2, and 3 schools. They'll always say to me, well, the women only get X amount of dollars. They're below you. We need to bring them up. Or we have to pay the baseball now. So no, and it's so the schools that have the money, the big time schools, they pay and they're fair and equitable. The other conferences that aren't in the Final Four weekend, they say, "How much can you get me officials, and how cheap can it be?"
Yeah, right.
I mean, basically that's it. So I mean, but I Division three is pretty reasonable. It's this year it's $265 for a 2 hour game, and
Wow.
if you drive over 75 miles, they'll kick in an extra $25.
You are doing
And
the wrong sport.
and
Oh, yeah, I am.
yeah, and next year, or the next 2 years after, it will be $280 will be the game fee, and the same mileage increments over 75 miles one way, you get $25. Over 100 miles, you'll get $60. And if you went over 150 miles, you'd get $100 more. So
That's
that's
way
not bad.
better than D3 hockey, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I
Like,
gotta
way
get
better.
too good to quit then.
Yeah, right.
I'm
Come to me.
telling you. It's
He-
no, but and I've been saying it since I came back and started doing D3 again, way underpaid. And I know it's not you, Gino, and I know it's not your dad, but D3 hockey is way underpaid.
Yeah, it's
At
not
one
even
point we were
close.
making 165, and it's a 3.5, 3 hour commitment.
No.
And you're doing the same job as you're doing, anywhere else. And yet 165, it was like, are you shitting me? I'd rather,
You're basically reffing
you
for
know,
free because like you're paying the government. Like, see you later. Like,
yeah,
Right,
and
right.
and it has gone up over the past couple of years, but it's still not where it should be. I mean, to hear that about lacrosse, hockey should be paying the same amount, and you hear from the school, well, we don't have the money. Bullshit. You don't have
Right.
money. You're getting 60 grand a
Right.
year from a tuition. Come on.
Right.
And this is just me, bitching
No,
a
no,
little
no.
bit, but
True.
um,
True.
it's I'm definitely coming back to lacrosse. Are you shitting me? I still look good in white
You
shorts.
still look good,
I
Mark.
still can pull off that outfit, I'll tell you that. Not I don't need as big of a shirt as I did back in the day when I was doing Gino's games,
No.
but, I'm a
You needed
little
that bulk for protection.
if Riley,
Yeah.
if you burped in your ref shirt, you would have split it. Who you kidding?
It was a little tight back in the
Yeah, a
day.
little tight.
Not as
Mhm.
much now, but I think I could still pull off the high socks and the white shorts,
Absolutely.
and, I think I'm gonna have to I don't think I can I still have my referee, short sleeve shirt. I still have that. I actually wear it during summer in the camp tournaments
That's
I
awesome.
run at there. I don't know what happened to any of my other stuff.
Mark, you've been gone a while. We've gone from a 1-inch stripe to a 2-inch stripe. So I
Oh.
don't that shirt might not be the right one anymore.
I'm gonna have to get an all new uni.
You're
I'm
a
gonna
new
have to
zebra if you come back.
I'm gonna be, yeah, I'm still gonna be chirping, but, I'm gonna have to go you're gonna have to hook me up with someone that can get me a whole new white pants outfit, 'cause
All right.
that's
In January, they have the course, and March, the first Saturday or Sunday in March is the big meeting you have to attend. So let me know. Keep in touch with me, and
oh,
we'd love
no,
to have
I'm
you
in.
back. Yeah,
I'm in
yeah.
because I have the afternoons now.
Yeah,
I can scoot out,
does
right?
John Murray still work?
No.
No.
I've done college for 35 years, and I've assigned for the last 10 years, and I don't even know a John Murray in the college. Oh, let me
Mm.
tell you a Jimmy Doyle story.
Yes. I would
Okay?
love a Jimmy Doyle story. Those are the
Yeah,
best. Let's
you know
go.
Jimmy
what?
brought me in, him and
J
Gino.
Jimmy, I love Jimmy. He
Best.
just, you know what? I came up, I learned from him. He was the best. I just said, I just love working with the guy. Everything was fabulous. So, anyways, I got a little better, and Jimmy kind of was more prioritized in hockey. So he didn't get better. so I kind of passed him. And
Yeah.
so, anyways, one year, I did a Holy Cross game. You know, checks were a little slow coming and everything. And I was like, this is crazy. I got to call Holy Cross. What the hell's going on? Anyways, thank God, before I called Holy Cross, I got a call from Jimmy Doyle, and Jimmy goes, Franny, he says, I have this check here from Holy Cross. And he goes, do you mind if I cash it? It's made out to me. They made it out to Jimmy Doyle, not me.
Fran Doyle. That
I
doesn't
said,
sound like Jimmy at all.
I said, Jimmy, I love you, but not that much.
That's excellent.
That's awesome.
Great guy. Love Jimmy.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's
Jimmy's
one
the
of the
best.
best.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I learned a lot
well,
from him in hockey, man. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, he's just one of those solid officials,
Oh, yeah.
like
And
no matter
and
what
lacrosse
sport.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he could jump in a basketball,
He
soccer,
could do
it wouldn't
anything.
matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
He might not know the rules, but he'd still probably
He-
referee a better game than most.
He'd
You
get
know?
through it just fine.
And he was with your dad, Gino. He
Oh, those two were
your dad and
everywhere.
him,
Right.
Bender and Doyle, that was like that was
I
like
used to go to
Morgan
all
and
their
Morgan.
games. I used
That
to
was
go
a-
to all the games. I used to be the shag when the shot went. I used to go get the balls and bring them back. And yeah, I used to have to bring the balls at the end lines. And yeah,
Oh yeah.
Doyle and Binda. It's a Wall Street law firm. Wait a second, you know.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they were, anytime you needed anything calmed down,
Well,
you brought them in.
Yeah.
Gino, if you went to lacrosse, we could be the new age Binder and Doyle. We
no,
could
we have to
have a Binder
separate
and
you two.
Riley, right? We could you're chirping zebras on the grass. We
Yeah,
could be
I don't think you could.
galloping.
I don't think you give the speeches like my father used to back in the day either. At the
I had some good ones. I
Yeah.
did have some good ones because you have
Yeah.
to. It's formal, and
Yep.
for those who don't know lacrosse, you got to you get the teams lined up, and you give the whole speech. You still do that, right, Fran?
Yes, you do. That's one of
And
the niceties about it, I think.
yeah, you introduce yourselves and stuff. And I forget who I was working with. Someone that wasn't like me, and I said, gentlemen, I'm Frank Poncherello. This is John Baker. Welcome to Chips. And they all looked and like, what the fuck? They had no idea.
You're dating yourself.
Oh, no, I know, 100%. The kids had no idea because I used to use a toonie, a Canadian toonie, for my coin flip, and there was Queen Elizabeth on one side and a bear on the other. And I used to say to the kids, Queen Elizabeth is the heads, the bear is the tails. They both look the same, and then I'd flip the coin. So
Jeez.
I'm ready. I'm ready to
Okay.
come back.
Come on back then, Mark. We miss you.
I used to love doing that stuff. You could do stuff there that you couldn't do in hockey, you
Wow.
know? So, but
That's
no,
good stuff.
I think I'm sold, Fran. I think I'm coming back.
He's
Think
back,
I'm back.
baby.
I gotta
All right.
get the
All right.
socks and gotta get some cleats. I'm gonna need a whole new outfit.
This was a recruiting call. Yeah.
That's what it was. You've
good.
convinced me to come back,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
I'm in. I'm in.
And
I don't. It could last a game, and I run, and my knees say, "Yeah, no, this isn't."
Just put them with
happening."
two good.
But,
They'll be fine.
you know, put me with younger guys that can sprint. That's what I
Yes.
need.
that's what we do in hockey, lacrosse, basketball.
That's what I need
We
now.
bring in the newbies to
The old
I'm
2-on-1
make you
longer-
look
system.
good.
I'm no
See,
longer
they're
the young
running.
guy.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
not.
I'll never
Anyway.
honestly. I'll never forget my first game was in Brookline,
Yep.
and I believe Roy was the assigner back
Yep.
then. Roy
Sure.
Condon, and he messed up and put 3 of us on the game. There was only supposed to be 2, and the
Right.
other 2 that I was working with, I'll omit the names, but let's just say one's uniform looked like it was 100 years old and never washed, and the other one was not, the most approachable person. So I show up, and the Brookline coach goes, "Yeah, I'm gonna deal with you all day." And I go, "Coach, this is my first game ever. I know nothing. I know none of the rules. I know what a cross check and a slash is. That's it. I'm a hockey guy." And he looks at all 3 of us and he goes, "I don't care. I'm still going with you."
What did Todd Sterling say? If you can manage the game, or like Luke Alvey used to always say, if you can manage the people, you can manage a game.
Manage the
Like,
game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
you
can
didn't have
referee
to
a
have
game.
them. Yeah.
Right.
And
Right.
it was funny because I had no idea what an offside was. I didn't even know that, like, when they shot the guy closer, my first couple guys, I was calling it out on the kid who threw it. And they're like, "I'm right here." I'm like, "I don't give a shit. Your guy shot it." And then they were like, "Dude, you gotta."
You know what?
You
You
gotta
you
on the
know
ring.
the sport of lacrosse. Don't come back. Don't come back. All right. All right. This has been a
Well, I
nice
remember
reunion.
now.
but-
I remember all the rules now. I remember lock it in, right? I used to love that. You give them a 3-minute
3
lock
minutes,
in.
lock in. Yep.
Yep, it was the best.
You
It was,
guys.
I
All
had a
right.
few of those.
Listen, I think this is enough.
No.
I just want to say thank you so much because I did watch a couple of your podcasts to get a feel for what I had to do. And I
Oh,
just,
right on.
oh my God, what can I do? I can't talk for more than a half hour, maybe an hour if they, string me along here and talk hockey in between. But I was so impressed with Ralph Maziel.
Yeah.
Maziali, yeah.
Yeah. Boy, geez, just a life story. Shit happens.
Right.
Like, what do you do? How do you deal with that? How do you handle it? He did. It was like,
Yeah.
it was impressive. It was
was.
impressive.
The dude died 3 times, 3 different times, and came
Geez.
back.
And his wife's still with him.
Yeah, I know. And
It's like-
his foundation, the Maziali
Yes.
Foundation,
Yeah.
he's in a remarkable story. We've had we've been fortunate in this journey we're on here in the podcast world to have some very unique and amazing
Yes.
people on.
Yes.
And I mentioned Becca Peasy. You know, she's I would argue the best athlete we've ever had on this podcast, and we've had
Yeah,
Okay.
some great ones,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
I
7
have to go back to
marathons
her.
in 7 days on 7 continents, twice.
Yep.
You know, she
No.
just set another world record in running a marathon in the North Pole. I mean, just incredible,
No.
incredible. And you know, and that was a chance
Josh just
meeting
dropped.
at the a Bruins alumni game. I met her at the Bruins alumni game
Okay.
against the Warrior for Life when they played the Warrior for Life Fund,
Okay.
and just by chance she was Zdeno Chara was there, and she trained Zdeno Chara to run the
Okay.
Boston Marathon.
Okay.
Happened to be there, just happened to have a conversation. Next thing you know, we got a person in the Guinness Book of World Records on our podcast. So
Wow. Yeah.
we've been
No, it's
we've been
good.
very fortunate, you
You
know.
guys do a nice job, and I appreciate the fact that you let me come on and talk lacrosse. And
Yeah.
you guys were put your toes in the water, but you're welcome back anytime.
Well, I'll tell you, it's great, and we wanted to have you on because we don't want to. I mean, we've never been only hockey, right?
Right. Right.
And zebras are zebras, right? Like even
Right.
umpires, we had Tim Sheeter on. You don't have to have stripes on to be a zebra, you
Right.
know.
Right.
And everyone has a referee story. No matter who
Right.
you are, you've had interaction with someone in the stripes, and we love the fact that you know you were the first when we said lacrosse. And I'm not, you know, pumping your tires here. I immediately said Fran Doyle. No
Yep.
question.
You
I
you were
mean,
always here. Like you
All
always
right.
had a
Stop
high
blowing
level.
smoke up my ass here now.
No, you always professional. Always came in and did a nice job. And yeah.
No. No, anyways.
So
Oh, yeah, I'll tell
Riley,
you one thing for grandkids. I took a picture of me doing the national championship. I had it blown up, and and my grandson has a zebra, elephant, and giraffe above his bed. And the picture of the zebra, he's got a small inset, and he's got a picture of Grumpy and his
that's
stripes.
awesome.
You guys
that's
need to do that
awesome.
too. You need to
Yes.
do that.
That's
Grumpy's has
awesome.
stripes too. Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
got a tattoo of a zebra on my leg. So,
I don't think we want to be showing that.
can I go with short socks just so I
We'll
can
talk.
show off the tat?
We'll talk. You guys are the best.
And as you know,
good luck
Riley
in the
doesn't.
future.
And as you know, Riley doesn't know how to end these things. So
I
No,
know.
it's
It's like,
every podcast is,
That's
as I
cool.
say, a ninth grade date. I don't know how to end it, but
well, hopefully you have enough to cut so that
Yep.
you
And
can.
Oh,
hey,
no,
you got to
no.
stay on afterwards so we don't lose it. He has to make sure it
Yeah,
gets
we
recorded
have
and all
some
that. So
technical
it'll just
stuff
take
to
a
do.
minute. That's all it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
it just
Oh,
takes
that's
a
fine.
minute. So right
Okay.
when we end it, don't just click off. Right.
Okay.
So,
All right.
well,
So
Fran
you
Doyle,
guys
thank
click
you.
off then.
Thank you very much for coming on the Zebras. We
Yes, thank
it's
you.
just been
Thank you.
awesome, and you know, it's lacrosse is a great sport, and
It is.
So's hockey. Yeah.
we vote well. Hockey obviously is the best sport. Let's be honest.
Well, I don't know about that. You know, and that's like,
Hardest sport to play. That's what I
well,
say.
you know what?
You gotta. Anyone can run. You
You know
can't.
what?
Everyone can't skate. But I don't want to start this now at the end. I'm trying to end.
We're going down a dark hole now.
Let's.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm the host. Hockey's the best. All right.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
I love it. Yes.
And there goes my
go.
chance of reffing any games. I'm going to be wandering around at the South Shore Plaza. and
Mark
big
doesn't know
socks and
what
white
to do
shorts.
still.
No,
Yeah.
nope. It'll be
He'll be
bad.
going long and far.
Yeah.
Where's that game? Yeah, Connecticut.
Oh,
Yep.
all
Well,
right.
for Fran Doyle, thanks for coming on. We want to
right.
thank our sponsor, the Referees Crease, your one-stop shop for all your refereeing needs. Also want to thank AOA Studios for all they do for us.
Yep.
Also want to remind everyone to like and subscribe. Smash that like and subscribe button on YouTube. Follow us on the social medias, the Instagram, the Facebook, and of course,
The TikTok.
thank you, Gino. And we also want to thank our producer, Josh Dolan, for taking care of all these podcasts that we do on the interwebs like this. And you know, we really appreciate everyone for listening. And that's going to do it for episode 79. See, I got that right. And for Gino Bender Jr., for Josh Dolan, for Fran Doyle, I'm Mark Riley. We'll see you next time right here on the Chirping Zebras.